We thank you guys and gals for tuning in this Saturday morning and every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. We do this thing, and we appreciate you. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and we're going to be here for the next 2 hours. We'd love to hear from you guys and gals, so give us a call here at our Blake Morrill Real Magic Studios. Give us a call. 321-632-1000 is the hotline to get us right here in our studios in Cocoa. We're transmitting on 1510 AM, 99.9, 94.7, 100.7 FM, www.catchamemory outdoors, and Facebook Live, and on the WWBC app. So you got all kinds of ways that you can find us this week. Good stuff. This section of the show is brought to you by Blue Points Marine out at Port Canaveral, and we want to let you know that I was out there the other day, and I was looking at the number of boats and cars and things that were piled one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other last weekend for the mini unicorn snapper season that we had. And I was just thinking to myself, well, maybe I don't need to be out there after all. What do you think about it, Rodney Sahr? Rodney's in the show this morning. Good morning, buddy.
I'm about half here. I think half of me is
half
still left
you still
out
dragging?
there.
He's still trying to get his way in the door?
Might come in the door in a minute. You know what, man? I fished 3 days of the 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
And I had no intention of fishing at all until, like, the week before it. Someone asked me, came over from the West Coast, and I was like, all right, I'll go. And then I got invited by another buddy of mine to go twice out of Ponce. I was like, all right, you know. It wasn't too bad, especially out of Ponce. We fished Thursday night of last week, and coming back in at 3 a.m., at 3:30, the line for Port Canaveral's launch was all the way past the entrance to Jetty Park.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty crazy, the amount of boats at Canaveral, but, you know, bite was good. We caught big fish every trip. So.
Yeah, there's absolutely. I'm really just kind of, honestly, just disgusted with the fact that
they're closed.
They're closed.
Yeah.
We have a 4-day mini season. Yeah, mini season. Basically, it's kind of like a Black Friday event at Walmart. It's stupid. It's just, I'm just calling it like it is. It's stupid.
I've heard a couple people say it is worse than the 3-day mini lobster season in the Keys.
I don't doubt it.
So that's, and if any of you have ever been around the mini season in the Keys, it is an absolute nightmare getting out of the Keys. Getting in and out of the Keys. Bumper to bumper trailer.
It's a joke.
It is.
Well, I'm glad it's over. That's all I can say. I'm glad that it's over. We turned down, well, we already had bookings. So we turned away 12 charters in total.
Yep. Of
people trying to call it, last minute, that sort of thing. And it's like, we're already booked. And fortunately, we were booked for, as soon as I saw those dates pop up, I shut down our offshore offerings.
Yeah.
So you couldn't book a red snapper day with us.
Yep.
You could book a flat strip all day long. But I was not going to deal with that. I was not going to put, Captain Justin through that.
That was
it's just for you to have to get there at 6, or at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to get a parking spot at the boat ramp, to wait to tell your customers until 6:30 or so to get there. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the hassle.
What was amazing to me, too, is the sea conditions were not great. Really, any of the days. Yeah. They weren't bad. Like, they were doable, but you saw some little boats out there.
Oh, yeah.
Some little boats. It was kind of shocking to see some of the boats out there.
Yeah.
So
I feel like people are endangering themselves.
There's
I feel like there's just way too much pressure being put on the reef system on any given weekend.
It will. You want to see what boat pressure does to a spot. We fished Saturday of last week out of Ponce, and we started at a public site. We were the second boat there. Caught several good fish right away. By, I'm wanting to say, maybe 9 o'clock, 27 boats on this one public site.
One spot.
Well, it's a big enough, it's probably a square mile.
Right.
So, I mean, it's deep. But 27, shut the bite down.
Yeah.
Completely shut the bite down. You get that many people in one spot, and I don't care what species it is, it'll more than likely shut the bite down.
Yeah, you can wreck any piece of ocean if you put enough boats in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. Everybody knows there's not a problem with the species.
Not at all.
There really isn't. And you can talk all the science that you want to talk about. Well, there's not enough 50-year-old fish. All the fish are 20 years old or less. Doesn't matter.
They're big.
Honestly, it doesn't. To me, and to I would say 99% of the other recreational anglers out there, we don't care how old a red snapper is, because it's 30 pounds. At 20, 25 years old, it's a 30-pound red snapper. Okay?
And most people are not going to be able to land.
And most people aren't landing a 30-pound red snapper.
No. Majority of people, even experienced bottom fishermen, will have trouble landing a 30-pound snapper.
So, on one of my favorite wrecks to fish that I get crushed on, and Justin gets crushed on all the time. Very popular wreck. I'm not going to name it. But we get absolutely destroyed on this wreck. I had a guy call me, Bryson Wright, called me. Hey, man, we're going to go out of the port on, it was Saturday or Sunday or something. Where would you recommend I go? I said, do you want to catch a nice eating size fish at, say, 12 or 14 pounds? You want to catch a nice one that's going to taste good and you're going to actually be able to land it? Well, we were looking for some big ones. I'm like, yeah, sure, everybody's looking for big ones. Okay, I said, you want a big one? I said, bring a 50 wide. I said, if you got a bent butt, bring it and go here. They landed one that was 31 pounds off that wreck.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
But they started with their standard bottom rigs. He says, we got absolutely obliterated. He goes, it was so unfair. They just crushed us. And he goes, so they even tried their deep drop rig. Their electric reel got hammered on the electric reel and got crushed. I said, I told you, if you go here, you're going to have a 50 wide, at least, 2-speed, bent butt, and it's going to have 60 or 80 pound line on it. And they had one set up like that with 60 on it for tuna. He says they locked the drag down all the way at like 50 pounds of pressure, 48, 50 pounds of pressure.
Boat and gear.
And they actually managed to get one off of that piece of structure, and it weighed 31.4 pounds or something.
Gee whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat a 30-pound snapper.
No.
That's we fished yesterday, and we got to the spot at 5:45. At 6:20, we had 3 fish in the boat. 2 of them were 21 and change, and one was 22 and change.
Yeah, and that's about as big a fish as you want to try to eat.
That's as big as I really want to eat. I like catching the big
You want to know
ones,
something interesting about that?
What's that?
So here's the thing with red snapper. I was talking with Rick Riles about this past week as we were doing our Florida Sportsman podcast, okay? And the podcast report that we do for Florida Sportsman every week. And Rick was saying that the difference between a 13, 14 pound red snapper and a 20 pound red snapper is about 1.5 pounds in meat.
In meat, yeah.
In actual meat.
Yeah.
Because it's all head and rib cage. He said, so
knife killers.
You can they'll destroy a fillet knife. So you can go try and chase those 20 pounders, and you'll get that extra 1.5 pounds of meat off of a 20-pound fish, but the fish is 6 pounds heavier in total to get 1.5 pounds of yield off of it. And they don't taste as good.
They don't, no. But I will say one thing that you do that makes a huge difference is those bigger fish, bigger snapper and grouper. If you're not looking for a weight right away, we weight our fish right away, but if you slit their throats and let them bleed out, it makes a massive difference in the meat.
Just like a tuna or a wahoo or anything else, I
know when you're looking for a weight on a fish and you're trying to, if you're in any type of tournament, it's different. But, if we're not doing that, I take a lot of fish and slit their throats. Snook. You get a slot-sized snook.
Yep.
That makes a huge difference on the snook, too.
Yep.
So.
Well, letting anything bleed out.
Yep. Takes that red out of the meat.
A pig, a cow, a deer.
All of that out.
Anything. Fish. But yeah, so I'm glad that everybody got out and back. 2 boats went down out of Ponce the first day last week or last.
I didn't even hear that.
On that Friday there was 2 boats that went down. Actually had to be rescued. I did not hear of any out of Canaveral, fortunately, and I didn't hear of any out of Sebastian.
Surprising that Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastian is the surprising one. But fortunately, most everybody made it out and made it back safe. I feel like it is just it's
mayhem.
Crazy
I will
to put
tell
that
you,
kind of pressure on it.
On my side, what I do in the tackle industry, it is good.
Oh, it's great for that.
And I'll tell you, they have a much better scenario on the West Coast.
Oh yeah,
and in the Panhandle, and that red snapper drives majority of the business in the Panhandle for a lot of hotels, tackle shops, marinas.
Yeah.
That is their main driver of business because people come from Georgia and Alabama. They drive down and they spend a weekend during the snapper season, which is several weeks long.
They get 40 days.
Yeah, specifically for that.
Yeah.
And it is a business driving.
It's a huge
they
economic
also get
driver.
them right off the beach, up there as well.
Well, if I was, so as a recreational angler, we all feel like, hey, we don't understand why the season's closed. We don't feel like there's a shortage of fish, and we're not. This doesn't make any sense. But we as recreational anglers in general don't have a lot of political pull. We're not formed together as a group. Yeah, we're not represented. And CCA is about the only representation that we have.
We don't have a
commercial lobbyist industry, like the commercial fishing industry.
Gun side.
Yeah. So what we need.
What is the name of the? Why am I forgetting it? NRA. We don't have an
NRA. Yeah. So what we need, honestly, what recreational anglers need to have happen, you need to contact your local tourist development council. You need to call the Space Coast Office of Tourism, the Treasure Coast Office of Tourism, whatever part of the listening area that you're in that we are broadcasting to. Contact your local tourist development office because they get their funding by putting heads in beds. So when the hotels are full, tourist development council's getting money to promote come to an area. So the tourist development councils on the east coast of Florida, really from the Keys all the way to Jacksonville and Fernandina, they really should all band together. This in an ideal world, if they banded together and each county's tourist development council on the east coast of Florida said, hey, we need a longer season. We need a season like the West Coast has because it's an economic driver for us. That would be some horsepower. That would be some pull and potentially help get us some more days than just a 4-day joke.
You know why it was 4 days?
A season. I have no idea.
They can't open up any season for less than 4 days.
They can't open any season less than 4 days? Yeah.
That's the only reason we got. They wanted to give us, I think, 2.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy. Just crazy.
Oh, man.
Anyway, let's don't talk about red snapper the whole rest of the day if we don't have to, I tell you. Because you know why? Tarpon bite's really good. You were doing some kingfishing. Let's take a break.
Crapload of tarpon.
Yeah, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll talk about some tarpon and kingfish action with Rodney Sahr and myself, Jim Ross, and we appreciate you guys tuning in on Facebook and every other way that you can get a hold of us right here every Saturday from 7 to 9 on Catch a Memory. Don't go away. We're going to be right back. Paul's pulling up the shark tracker for the week. He always likes to see what's going on with the sharks out on the.
Where they at? Where they at, Paul?
They're everywhere. I can tell you that much. Good grief. But if you guys and gals are looking for a great place to buy your memory sticks, stop in at New Smyrna Outfitters in New Smyrna Beach, either Ace Hardware location in Titusville. Out at Port Canaveral, you can stop at Sunrise Marina. Down in Melbourne, you can stop at Strike Zone, and at Reel 'em In Bait and Tackle in Sebastian. And appreciate you guys and gals tuning in this morning. What do you got? Oh, what's right off of Canaveral? What is that right there?
That is Miss May is back in town.
Miss May's back, huh? A 10'2" female.
Yes.
Well, you saw Greg Rapp had a picture of a 10-foot tiger they had, and then
another
person caught a tiger shark inside the port.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I saw some small video of
so
that
pretty
on the Port Canaveral fishing forum. We got Captain Russ Glenn is tuned in this morning, watching us on Facebook. Timmy Imp is watching us this morning. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of sharks out there. Captain Mark Gibson called me yesterday. I don't know if he's going to get a chance to call in today or not. I think he had a 6 or 8 hour trip, offshore trip today. But he was saying yesterday, he says, good grief, the sharks are all over the beach right now. They're behind the shrimp boats. They're on the inshore structures. He says there's just sharks everywhere.
4 sandbars, 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
You actually landed 4 sandbars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're talking
on the snapper gear.
You're talking about the 60-pound mainline. I go heavy. I've got 130-pound braid with 150-pound shock leader and 100-pound fluorocarbon leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. I landed a couple of them. They hurt.
They do. You know what else is going on right now, which I really enjoy, is the bull shark fishing. The bull sharks have been coming up. I'm getting over some of the reefs and wrecks and been throwing either a big explode or a Williamson hydro popper. And those 2 big chuggers, if there's a bull shark around, he'll come check it out.
Yep.
And this time of the year, in fact, this past week and a half, we've had a decent amount of cobia showing back up.
I know. I was talking. Scott Lum was out the same day we are, and he had a bunch of shorts. He had 1 legal, but
there's a lot of shorts, and that's why I tell it, especially with the new size limit.
Yep.
The new 35-inch size limit. So it's good that we're seeing cobia. Just don't gaff them. Just use your net.
God, I hate that.
I see people gaff them all the time, and it's like, okay,
you just killed that fish.
You just killed that fish because I can tell from here it's not a legal fish, and I'm not even in your boat. Yeah. I'm on the other side of the wreck, and I can tell that's not a legal fish. And so you see them gaff it, pull it in, stick it down on the fish measuring tape,
and
try to get the fish stretcher out of the box and stretch him a little bit, with the fish stretcher. Well, that doesn't work. Okay, well, let's throw him back overboard, and that's like, guys.
So it's so messed up. I agree. I frustrated as heck. I saw a guy I know very well do that, and I went off on him.
Yeah.
I'm like, why on earth would you do that?
If it's a 40-inch fish and you want to gaff him, gaff him. I carry a net.
Yeah.
I don't like getting beat up. You try to put a cobia on a gaff, that's hand-to-hand combat. You're getting a butt whooping. That's what's going to happen.
Depends what boat I'm in. If I can throw them straight into the box, if it's a big fish box.
If it's got a big coffin box or something.
Exactly.
Then that's one thing.
I'll put them in there.
If he even looks marginal, I put everything in the net.
Yep.
Because I can control that fish.
You net kingfish?
No, I just pick kingfish up by the tail.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. If I'm going to release them, I'll put a boga grip on them, or I'll just pick them up by the tail. Unhook them, take the picture, and throw them back overboard. Because a lot of my customers don't want to keep fish.
Yeah.
So to me, I've got enough kingfish in the refrigerator. Actually, smoked kingfish, because you can't. I would never take fish and freeze it.
Oof.
No. And so I put all those fish back.
I'm not gonna lie. I was fishing with some friends of ours the other day, and he brought out the smoked sailfish. Oh, dear God, that's good.
It's good.
That is delicious.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with taking a sailfish home and smoking it.
True.
Marlin, any of them.
So, I've never eaten marlin.
It's good. It's like sailfish. It's got that nice, firm texture to it. I mean, I don't have a problem with somebody if it's legal to take.
Yeah. I can't remember the size on sailfish, too. They got to be pretty decent size to keep.
And permit are the same way.
So, yeah, I've heard.
I've never kept a permit. I release all my permit. We release all our sailfish. But technically, now here's the thing, especially with sailfish, because we catch more sailfish than anything else. With sailfish, if you bring that fish out of the water into the boat, technically you're supposed to keep it.
Gotcha.
Any sailfish that comes over the gunnel is supposed to, the reason it comes over the gunnel is not for a photograph. The reason it comes over the gunnel is because you intend to keep that fish. If you intend to release that fish, then keep it in the water and take the picture of the fish in the water. That's the way
if you get down along the side of the boat,
just like tarpon,
and you grab the bill and hold it and lift the sail up, it makes a great picture.
Oh, it sure does.
So there's no reason to pull them out of the water if you're not going to keep them. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I didn't do that back in the day. I used to pull them out of the water.
Oh, yeah. And I've done the same thing in the past.
Yeah, you get a group of guys out there and you catch a sailfish. They all want to hold it, take a picture.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be in the picture because it's a pretty fish. It's a big fish. But technically, it's like tarpon. You're not supposed to bring them out of the water if you're intending to release them. If you're going to put them in the fish box, by all means.
Yep.
So, and they're legal to keep as long as they're within the proper size limit. They're legal to keep. So, I mean, I don't have if the Florida Wildlife Conservation Commission says it's legal to keep one. I don't have a problem with somebody.
There's been a lot of sailfish this year.
Yeah.
A lot of sailfish caught. Big sailfish.
Yeah.
So we saw one.
The one thing that I haven't seen a lot of is marlin. As far as blue marlin or white marlin, we've had a couple, but not many this year.
I saw you looking for a picture.
Yeah.
One, but we saw a sailfish free jumping. Not this last or the Thursday before when we were king fishing and then catching croakers for the next day. I was with Billy and Bear, and we saw the thing jump like 9 times towards the end of the buoy line.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. And it looked like a pretty good size one. So
you have to wonder, why do they free jump like that?
Yeah.
I mean, are they free jumping the same reason a manta ray free jumps, which we think
get parasites and stuff off.
Well, is because he's got a remora on him somewhere where he doesn't like the remora being, so he jumps to try and get the remora to move. Or, I mean, that's what I've always been told is why manta rays jump, is because they've got something on them and it's disturbing them, and they're trying to
get it off,
trying to shake it off.
The remora is going for a ride.
Yeah. Justin was out on Tuesday or Wednesday this week, and they were catching tarpon, and he said something was chasing one.
Ooh.
He said the tarpon was skittering away, jumping and skittering away like a scared mullet, trying to get out of town. And it wasn't one they had hooked up. I mean, it was just it wasn't one of those free jumping type tarpon things. It was I got to go, type of
Maybe
thing.
it was our friend on the shark tractor.
It could have been Miss May. You never know. I ran over a giant shark the last time I was out on the way back in down off of Patrick. I was coming back in. I was out a little deeper, and I started running back in to look for tarpon on the beach again. And I don't know what it was, but it was big and it was dark.
Dark shark?
Big, dark shark, yeah. Probably somewhere around 11 foot.
Yeah.
Big, dark shark.
Probably hammerhead.
No. I couldn't see. I could see it good enough that I could tell it wasn't a hammerhead, but I couldn't see it good enough to tell what it was.
Gotcha.
And the way that it was one of those hazy white out kind of days where the cloud cover it's not grown into a thunderstorm yet. It's just as low white clouds, and so your visibility is not that good. And it was slick calm, so we're running along at about 35. And by the time I saw it and started to slow down, we were pretty much on top of it, and it went down. And I didn't get a good look at it, but it was a good sized fish. But I didn't see. I was thinking, bull shark, something sand tiger maybe. I was thinking something like that because we had just been playing with a bull shark and we had caught 3 cobia off of that bull shark. Before we started running in. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, here's another opportunity to maybe get a shot at a cobia. But he sounded because I was just too close when I slowed down. So It is what it is. Well, we got Joel Prine watching this morning as well. Good morning, Joel. Got all kinds of people starting to tune in this morning. Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
I tell you what, as pretty as it is out there today, it's not as pretty as it could be because it's like 3 feet at 5 seconds.
I was going to say, it's a little bit sporty out there.
It's got a little bump to it. But I know there's a lot of people going fishing today. And there was a ton of people that went fishing yesterday.
There's a ton of people fishing every day anymore.
Yeah.
The fishing industry right now is on fire. And the boating industry is on fire.
I was talking with my pro staff contact at Skeeter yesterday, and see if my boat had gotten moved up in the schedule at all, because my next boat's not supposed to be started even though I put my request in the end of May, and they told me at that time my start date was scheduled for the 7th of August.
Man, yeah.
So I called them back. I said, "Hey, have I gotten bumped up any? Has anybody canceled an order here and there?" She's like, "No." She's like, "In fact, she goes, I'm not sure if all of the pro staff is going to be invited back this year because we simply don't have enough boats to support our dealers at this point. We cannot keep up with dealer demand. They're selling boats so fast."
Jeez.
So they were 412 boats behind because of the shutdown for the whole COVID thing in the spring. Mm-hmm. And they're still trying to make that back up. So,
I do believe that'll slow down.
Yeah. Oh, it will.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But she's like, right now, we can't even keep the dealers stocked. Mm-hmm. So she says, "No, your start date hasn't changed a bit." Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, I'll keep checking.
Yeah.
Hey, guys and gals, we're going to take our next break. Give us a shout here at the radio station, right here on our Blake Morrill Real Magic Studios hotline, 632-1000. That's 321-632-1000. Hey, guys and gals, appreciate y'all tuning in every Saturday right here on WWBC, our main AM signal. And, of course, you can get us on the WWBC app and, of course, always on the Facebook. Now that this is week 6 or 7 now, I think, of this. Yeah, kind of interesting.
I know. I have to come into the show now and be presentable.
I actually shaved this morning. Yeah, I actually shaved. I hadn't shaved in, since last week. So
I haven't been shaving. I can't travel for work. I haven't been around customers. Why?
Exactly. Hey, we want to let you know this segment of the show is brought to you by Strike Zone down in Melbourne. And we're going to do the daily fishing. Rodney, you want to do the fishing conditions
I
for
can
today?
do that. Why not?
Yeah. There you go. Strike Zone down in Melbourne. Stop down to Strike Zone and check them out. They just had that great tournament this past weekend.
Yep.
And I think
some good fish weighed in.
Yeah, some really nice fish weighed in.
So
a lot of good fish being caught right now in the central east region of the state.
All right. So today we got east winds, 10 knots, becoming east 5 to 10 this evening. Seas inside of 20 miles, supposed to be 2 to 3 foot on a period of 5 seconds. A little choppy there. Current conditions at the 4-mile weather buoy at Canaveral. Water temperature of 83 degrees. Seas 3 foot in a period of 6 seconds. 20-mile weather buoy out of Canaveral. Water temperature of 86 degrees. 3 foot on a period of 5 seconds. 6-mile weather buoy out of Fort Pierce. We got 83 degrees. 3 foot on 5 seconds. Current surf temperature on Cocoa Beach is 83 degrees. Fort Pierce, 83 degrees. Western edge of the Gulf Stream, wow. 29 nautical miles out of Port Canaveral. 23 miles out of Sebastian Inlet. And 13 miles out of Fort Pierce Inlet. It's a little close today.
Yeah,
Port Canaveral tides. We've got a low tide at 12:35 and a high tide at 7:06 p.m. Sebastian Inlet. 12:53 p.m. low and a high at 7:21 p.m. Fort Pierce Inlet, a low at 12:59 p.m. and a high at 7:38 p.m. Those are your catch conditions today, guys.
Looks like I was looking at the tides, and this morning's low tide coming into the, coming into the high, or high tide coming into the low. Looked like it was kind of blah. But this evening's tide looks pretty strong.
Is it a higher?
It's going to be like a 4.3 swing.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's going to be a
really
huge
high.
swing. So this
Get some water moving.
Yeah, this evening should be, if you're fishing around an inlet or an area of current, even inside the river, around Sebastian or around Ponds, or Fort Pierce, it should be a really good time to fish this evening if you guys and gals get a chance to get out there. So, I'm wanting to jump ahead in the show. I'm wanting to talk about
you're talking about new
products, but I just got my new Rapala new products, 2021 releases, and I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing here.
We've got some really cool stuff coming out. I'm excited about a lot of this stuff. Even on the freshwater side, it's really cool to hear the stories. I'm big and in sales. To me, it's always connecting a person to a product with some type of emotional connection, and that to me always stems from kind of telling the story of how something was created and why it was created in a sense. And we've got some really cool stories on a lot of different products, specifically Ott the Foe in the new OG Slim. It's crankbait.
Yeah, I was looking.
Do I know how to use a crankbait? Probably not really. But
you know what's interesting about crankbaits though is that trout and ladyfish and a lot of the fish that we fish for around docks like snook, they eat them just fine.
Oh yeah.
The problem is
they destroy
the
them.
Average crankbait is made to freshwater bass fish with or walleye fish with. And saltwater fish just absolutely
destroy
trout
it.
Don't, but everything else just destroys them. You're right, just destroys them.
But it's really cool. OG is Ott's Garage is what it stands for, and Ott is a professional bass guy for all of us salty guys out there. Probably one of the best on the circuit, and he's been making lures in his garage since he was a little kid. Balsa wood. And this is his design that he did, and he's able to take this lure that he's been playing with and bring it to the, one of the world's biggest lure manufacturers to partner with him to make this lure. So it's really cool to hear him talk about it too. It's neat. It's really cool. I love that kind of stuff, and I've been, able to bring stuff over. You were part of, our new circle hook with this new bait holder on it. You were a part of that from the beginning, so that was cool. We got to kind of play
because
around and do that together.
I was kind of doing the same kind of thing where I was taking O-rings and putting O-rings on the shank of the circle hook and as a bait keeper, as a bait stopper, and then of course from that the next generation or a more professional version of that has now been developed. So that's cool, and they work really good. So
they do. They work really good.
Yeah, I really like
those. A little bit more, you're paying a little bit more money per hook for it, but I look at especially tarpon and sailfish guys.
Well, any kind of live bait. Whether you're snooking, whether you're we do a lot of live bait red snapper catch and release throughout the year. To me, red snapper are an invaluable species to my charter business because they're a great fish that pulls hard. They're pretty. They're tenacious. They're aggressive.
Very aggressive.
And they're just, to me, they're the perfect kind of light tackle fish. And I built my business for the first 15 years. My business was basically built on catching and releasing oversized redfish. Once again, a fish you can't keep, you can't take it home. But I built my business on that fish because that fish people were so enamored by that fish. Everybody wanted to catch a 40-plus inch redfish. And that's what we targeted day in and day out was that fish. And I use, off the beaches, I use tarpon and red snapper and barracudas and jacks in the same fashion. They're all tough, hard-fighting fish. Some jump, some don't. But they're going to test you and
test your equipment
and test your angling skills, especially when it comes to tarpon. They're definitely going to test you, your endurance and your angling skills, because in my opinion, there's virtually no better fish in the ocean to catch. And I'm including, when you talk about sailfish and marlin, to me, tarpon are still harder to catch than anything else. You'll hook them, but to physically land them, everything has to go right for you to land the tarpon. And so, as much as it is angling skill and preparation meets opportunity, you have to have a lot of luck. You got to be lucky to get a tarpon to the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to do so many different things that you never expected them to do. And somehow they break the line, they pull the hook, they straighten the hook, they, do whatever. They cut you off by cutting back and forth under the boat. There's just always something a tarpon is willing to try.
Erratic.
Yeah. And you have to be prepared for anything that fish throws at you. And that's what is so cool about tarpon to me.
Mm-hmm. I will say, for me, the hardest fish to land, I finally landed one on Thursday, spinner shark.
Yeah.
I finally landed one, but it wasn't very big.
That's all about rigging.
Yeah.
Honestly, spinner sharks, because they twirl up your line and break you. You're right. That's another great fish.
It's erratic. Anything that's erratic.
But you have to, with that fish, I found that you just have to take the mono and fluorocarbon out of the equation. The best way to land them is straight braid, straight to wire, and don't make the wire too long.
Yeah, because they'll kink it.
Yeah, because they'll wrap it around their body.
I don't have any desire to catch one.
Yeah. I think they're great.
Catch.
I love catching them on topwater plugs too.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're super aggressive. The problem is
it's usually when I'm trying to target something else.
Yeah.
That we end up catching them. But
But you actually landed one.
I actually landed one on kingfish gear. So
it
wasn't very big though. It was a small one. But gosh, I fished that tournament up at Ponce, that old school kingfish tournament, and I had a Spanish mackerel. It was dead, but I was swimming them in the prop wash.
Right.
And
big
I had
fish.
it rubber banded down to the cleat, all of a sudden pop, and dump the spool. Then the downrigger goes off, dumping the spool. I'm like, and it's just one long, fast run. I'm like, man, it's like, I don't know what else this would be other than a big kingfish. We got 2 of them on. I cut a couple lines just to get them out of the way. I'm like, this is it. Like, I don't know, 5 minutes into it, thinking, okay, they're slowing down a little bit. I'm like, all right, all of a sudden, pop, spin. 2 of them both jumped same time, broke both off. Daggone spinner sharks didn't jump when I first hooked them. I was like, he came up and ate that Spanish mackerel behind the boat, and I wish I would have seen that bite.
Yeah.
That'd have been a really cool bite to see, but oh man, that got the adrenaline going though.
I'll bet. I absolutely just love, anything that pulls and jumps is just great to me. I love catching ladyfish. Some people don't like them. Some people are like, I don't really like landing ladyfish.
They're nasty.
Because you get pretty dirty when you land them. But I like to target them and just hook them up, let them jump 2 or 3 times, spit the hook, and then your lure lands back in the water, and hopefully it's not fouled, and you can start working it again.
And then another one.
And you can hook another one. And to me, the funnest part is trying to see how many fish can I actually hook on one cast. Can I get a third fish? Can I get a fourth fish on one cast? And when they're schooled up tight, that's a lot of fun to me. I don't care if I pull them to the boat or not, but just getting a jump or 2 out of them and them throwing it and then me starting it back up again and watching that school or that horde just run down that lure or that typically I throw topwater because I just enjoy watching them try it for topwater. That to me is just a fantastic little fish. And it's a great training tool because if you can actually hook them and then when they jump, bow to them and do those sorts of things like you would with a tarpon, it makes you a much better tarpon fisherman.
It's a poor man's tarpon.
It's a great training tool.
Yep.
Hey, guys and gals, we're going to be right back. 321-632-1000 is our Blakemore Real Magic Studios call-in line. We'd love to hear from you. And Rodney Sahr and myself, Jim Ross, are going to be right back with more Catch a Memory.
We are going to bring to you now our new Rapper Report of the Week, new product. All right, and this one I am pretty excited about. I got to have some influence on this one. Actually had a lot of people requesting this particular product brought to you by VMC. This is a hook that we actually were using overseas, and we're bringing it over here. This is the Tech Set Tandem Assist Hook, specifically designed for slow pitch jigging. This hook offers a really unique bend that's got a slight kind of angle to the roundness where the bend comes around. There's a little bit of an angle, almost like a kind of not quite, 80-degree bend in it. but it kind of allows a strengthening of that hook. So it allows us to use a smaller, thinner diameter wire and yet really have a lot of strength and hook setting power. And once you hook the fish, because of that bend, it kind of keeps that fish's mouth where you hook it in that same spot, so it doesn't come off as easy either. So this is the new TechSet Tandem Assist Hook, and these are going to be available in a multitude of sizes from a 1/0, if you want to use for your smaller type jigs, all the way up to a 5/0 for some of your larger slow pitch jigs. We actually offer this as well in the non-rigged version. So if you're really into tying your own rigs in regards to jigging assist hooks, you're able to do that as well. So it gives you a little bit of opportunity to kind of play around with it as well. These are going to be available probably in the beginning of the year, next year, so 2021. You'll start seeing these on shelves, so look for them. It's the TechSet Tandem Assist Hook, brought to you by VMC. So really like the slow pitch stuff, and it's been really, really popular. So this is another addition for those guys who really like to do that. So, and Jim, I know you're excited about them because you're going to put them on our Gomoku and Gomami jigs from Williamson that you like to fish with a lot.
Yeah, I like to fish with those jigs. I don't really like the
treble hooks.
Treble hook.
It comes with a 96-26 permasteel hook.
Yeah. But it's just seems to tangle a lot. And obviously that impairs your ability to catch fish.
Yeah.
The other thing is, with the new small tech sets down to like 1/0,
yep,
I feel like that's just, those are going to be great to put on those, because I don't really use very big ones most of the time. I feel like I get more bites on the smaller ones. Or my customers get more bites on the smaller ones. And it's a lot easier for them to jig the smaller ones. So I just, with the smaller ones though, the small treble hook is like using a number 4 treble, or a number, even a number 6 treble in some cases. And sometimes you'll hook a red snapper, or you'll hook a lot of times we'll hook jacks too on them, and it's just not enough hook for that particular type of fishing.
I'm a real big fan of using these jigs for catching bait.
Yeah. Like blue runners and stuff?
Blue runners and bluefish. And I use them on a couple. So I carry a pile of them with me. And I'm curious on this because sometimes a treble hook will tear their mouth up a little bit. And most of the time they're okay, but sometimes, you have some issues with it when you're trying to keep them for a longer period of time, not just a day.
Yeah.
If you're going to pin them up. So I'll probably be switching to some of them, see how that works. My only thing is sometimes the blue runners, they don't always get that jig completely in their mouth, so the treble hook helps that you kind of almost snag them,
get them in the side of the face or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they work great. It's funny because there are now, you're seeing some diamond jigs type things coming up in the bass fishing realm, because with the way electronics are nowadays, bass guys are targeting bass now in a lot deeper water than in the past, in a sense. So I've seen some stuff, and I'm really curious.
It's interesting. It's almost like, going back to the bass side of it, it's almost like what used to work in the 50s,
but
60s, early 70s. That style of fishing is now coming back again, because
jigging spoons and
when I was young, my grandfather had an entire tackle box full of jigging spoons, and I'm thinking to myself, what the heck are you doing with a half-ounce spoon? The water in this lake is 4 feet deep at the deepest point. You can't cast it and reel it back fast enough to not snag the hydrilla or the coontail moss. And so I never understood, but those were all lures that he brought down in his tackle box from Pennsylvania when he moved down here in 1964. My dad's father. And so all of those things that they used up there then, it seems like people are coming back around and using that style, because it's to me, it's a lot like our black drum fishery. If we didn't have redfish and trout on the flat, then we didn't really have a backup plan. you know, unless you went to some of the drop-offs or spoil islands. But now with the drum fishing, there's nowhere with side scan, there's nowhere the fish can hide. And so you can find fish in 8, 10, 12 feet of water. So we've gone away from being as visually driven on our charters, and now we're relying on our electronics in a lot of cases, where before the only thing my depth sounder did for years,
tell you how deep it is.
Yeah. Would detect, no, and I didn't even care how deep it was. I was just looking at the water temperature. I could see how deep it was because I was fishing in 18 inches, 20 inches of water every single day because we had grass, we had sandy potholes. There was, you know, tons of fish in the shallows. We don't have that. We haven't had that in 5 or 6 years. And so we've had to adapt, and the electronics have become more and more important in that adaptation process. And so when I first started targeting the deep water redfish, I started targeting them in Haulover Canal because we knew they went through there. And I said to myself, this was before side scan, when the river in 2010, 2011 just kind of really started dying, and then 13 and 14 it got really, really bad, and I started doing more and more deep water type fishing, and I found that there were areas that I could mark in Haulover Canal where I could actually mark schools of redfish or schools of black drum. There were areas along the Clinker Islands in the Mosquito Lagoon and in the northern Indian River where those islands, they dug through rock and then piled that up, you know, to make the spoil island. But those rocky areas of bottom, the fish would congregate on them in the channel. Out in the, and so a lot of people, they would say, you know, why are you sitting way out in the middle of the channel there? And I'm like, you know, I was just kind of messing around. I wasn't going to tell them I'm catching fish there because then, you know, then everybody's got their fenders out and they're tied off to you. I don't need that. But eventually people catch on, you know. You can only fool the crowd for so long. Yeah. You can only hide something for so long before people are going to find it out. And a lot of times I just tell them, oh, we're just targeting tarpon. Because the tarpon would be rolling all around in those same areas. And sometimes you'd hook one, sometimes you'd hook a bull shark, but a lot of times you'd hook that big redfish. And so, you know, if I had a customer that's looking for redfish, and I would go do my laps around, check all the areas on the flats that I would expect the fish to be at. If they weren't there, then I'd go start looking at those deeper water areas. And so I had to adapt my fishing to our changing lagoon conditions. Yeah. And it seems like that's what's happening, you know, transferring that back into the bass world now. It seems like a lot of the bass guys are starting to do that same kind of thing where they're finding places that fish hide because of their electronics that they really hadn't looked or searched before. And now they're not just finding fish. In a lot of cases, they're finding good quality fish. And in most cases, those aren't fish that have been pestered. Yeah. So those fish eat a lure better than fish that are in easier to find spots. And so I've said it for years. I love dumb, hungry fish. Those are my favorite kind. What species? I don't care. Dumb and hungry. That's the kind of fish that I like to go catch. And we have enough educated fish out there that it's really difficult to find a dumb, hungry fish anymore. And so it seems like that's what the bass guys are kind of rolling back to, and finding those fish that haven't been as pressured and are a little more aggressive and a little easier to get them to bite. And stuff like this, with like these little assist hooks, I mean, to me, that's money. Yeah. That's money to me.
So, well, we got some really cool things, excuse me, coming out that, we'll be able to get in front of customers probably beginning of next year. We're looking at most of the stuff's going to launch January. Because of all the virus stuff, everything got pushed back. Yeah. Normally we're talking about product and it's going to be showing up in a month. Right. But just because of all the stuff with the factories, we're pushed back a little bit. But
it's that way everywhere. Yeah. It's not just you. It's I mean, go to the store and try to find a 7-strand A2 sleeve. to make a kingfish rig, to make a kingfish rig with stranded wire. Try to find one of those somewhere. It's almost impossible. Hey, I want to say, good morning to Carl Luschner. He's listening in from Georgia this morning. He's probably sipping on some coffee and watching the does feed under the feeder out in the backyard. Good morning, Carl. Debbie Bogle is out there as well. David Ross is watching. Tom Haycock. Appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. And Rodney Sahr and myself are going to be right back with a whole nother hour of Catch a Memory. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. We appreciate y'all tuning in. This segment of the show is brought to you by Blue Points Marina. Check out Blue Points Marina. You'll see a well-oiled machine if you're looking for a great place to keep your boat out there. And we want to talk a little bit real quick before we go to the phone lines. We want to let you know, how can you turn a fish into $10,000 cash? How do you do that? Well, you know what? Or maybe a boat and motor trailer package from either Contender or Pathfinder or Hughes, Carolina Skiff, Salt Marsh, coming with a Yamaha motor on it. And you know what? Every year, and especially this year, $500,000 in prizes. This is how you do it. You go to CCA Florida, and you jump on their website, and you get signed up for the CCA Star Tournament. You find a redfish or a dolphin, and you could win $10,000 cash, and any of those other fish, you could win various other prizes that total up to $500,000. So, you know what? It's a great thing to do. If you guys and gals get a chance, check out the Star Tournament from CCA. We're going to go right back to the phone lines. We've got Donald from Lutz calling in. Like Donald is out in his boat or something. He's got something going on there.
Good morning.
Good morning, Donald.
Oh, man. I'm up at the Branch Park in Fort Richard last Saturday. I had no signal to try and call in, but I got a 32.5-inch snook.
Nice.
Yep, that's entered in the CCA Star Tournament, and some other snook too in the conservation division. And it's been incredible out here. I'm out right now. I just launched about 15 minutes ago, anchored up, and give my favorite captain on the East Coast a call.
Now, Donald, you're on the West Coast of Florida, so 28 to 33 inches is your slot limit over there, if I remember correctly?
28 to 32, I believe.
Oh, 32, yeah, so it's the same.
32.
Okay,
yeah,
it's the same.
28 to 32.
It's the same as the East
so
Coast
we
then.
Can't keep any anyway.
Right, right.
From Pasco County south, where I'm in Pasco County, but I think Snook is closed anyway, up on the West Coast. But we can't keep any travel rented either. But up in Hernando County north, you can keep rented.
Gotcha. Your audio's breaking up just a little bit.
Yeah, it is, because I'm out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's better. I can hear you better now.
Okay, good.
So what's the magic bait for this morning, or lure for this morning, Donald?
I love the soft plastic paddle tails. Something about them, I don't know, do I work them properly, I guess, because I do catch fish with them, and I've tried other things besides neridines. I love neridines, but if there's grass, it's tough fishing those. And we've had a lot of grass. So
send some grass to us over here on the East Coast. We could use some of it.
So doing some replant.
A lot of floating grass. But it's been great. Finally, the weather turned. We've had a lot of a west wind, and today we have an east wind. So it's finally turning. So that's good.
Gotcha. Well, buddy, I hope you have a great day out there. It sounds like you got a good start to your morning. It was a beautiful sunrise this morning. I was looking at thinking to myself, man, I'd sure like to be out there making a cast myself,
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we appreciate the call in this morning, Donald, and congratulations on that 32.5-inch snook last week.
Yeah, that was awesome. But very cool. All right, you guys, take care. Stay safe. Tight lines as always.
Thanks, Donald. Appreciate the report from the West Coast.
All right.
Yeah. Got Chris Pashos watching this morning as well. Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Chris, what's happening, man?
We appreciate y'all tuning in. Good morning and good morning and good morning.
I just got called last month. Chris and those guys. Well, it was actually Eric called me On the 25th of August, I'm going to be doing the FSFA meeting.
Oh, very cool.
We'll talk a little kingfishing.
Little kingfish action.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. We're going to go right back to the phone lines. Captain Justin Ross on the line this morning. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, y'all?
We're doing our thing in here. What's going on the water?
Oh, we got a little topwater bite going on this morning. Bunch of small trout. Nothing real sizable yet. But with this overcast we got, it's making it nice.
Nice and cool, huh?
Yeah, nice and cool. And the
Love to hear
fish
those
still
trout come
reacting
back.
well to topwater.
Well, it's
Usually
good.
about this time of the day, I have to kind of put it away and move on to subsurface stuff.
Well, it's good to see that the trout bite's still pretty strong. You know, how is the bottom cover there? You got calorpa or grass or anything?
It's mainly sand. I mean, there's a little bit of calorpa here and there where I'm fishing, but I'm fishing really close, like really tight to islands is what seems to be holding the fish.
Gotcha.
Right now, my clients are arguing whether a catch counted because the leader did not come into the tip of the rod. He's like, "What do you mean? I got him in the boat. It counts."
Well, they have to establish those parameters ahead of time. Is it a catch if I get it within grabbing distance of the leader? Do I get that leader touch, or is it a catch to come over the gunnel of the boat, or what?
Exactly.
What lures you throwing this morning?
We're just throwing to why can't I remember the name of them? The topwater X, the Rapala, the
Skitterwalk.
Yeah, skitterwalks. Yeah.
Good old skitterwalk.
Is the one color working better than the other?
No, I have one throwing a brim pattern and one throwing a redfish pattern, and they're both seeing some love. So
that's good. Where are you?
The brim pattern is for like a white now because it's just been beat. Is all the paint's beat off of it. So.
It's now bone.
It's a bone colored one, yeah.
Which works very well.
Well. That one will probably get the snook next then, because the snook like that bone colored one, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Are you fishing the Indian or banana today?
We're in the Banana River.
Gotcha. Is that bite still holding up for you?
Yeah. Yep. I haven't been doing very good in the Indian lately, but maybe it's just me.
Yeah, could be. Well, what do you got planned for the rest of the morning after the topwater bite stops?
Well, I saw some tarpon rolling yesterday, so I'm going to go see if I can get some greenies or some pilchards or something and troll around for them a little bit. And then I got some, if that doesn't work out, I got some dead bait that we're going to go cut bait in the Thousand Islands with.
There you go. Catch some redfish or some big trout or something.
Something.
Cool. Well, we appreciate the report this morning from Live on the Water. Sounds like you got a little bit of wind out there.
Yeah, we got a pretty good southeast-ish wind coming in. So I was. You can hear I just came out from behind one of the islands as we were on the phone there.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it. I thought it was supposed to be 5 to 10, but that sounds definitely like 10 or better.
I was about to say that's blowing decently.
It's a little better.
Yeah. All right, bud. Well, you catch them up, and if somebody wants to get out there and fish with you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can give me a call at 321-505-8217 or go online to finelinefishingcharters.com.
Fantastic. Thanks for the call in this morning. Appreciate the live report from the water.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, bud. Take care.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye now. That wind was blowing.
Yeah, it was. I was like, ooh.
I didn't have that. When I left the house this morning, my pond was just a mirror.
And you know what was crazy? I fished out of ponds yesterday. It was beautiful. Talked to the guys, fish out of Canaveral, like, oh my gosh, it was so rough. We got our butts handed to us. I was like, really? It's like I was in a 22-foot boat, and it was beautiful
Gorgeous,
ride.
huh? Yeah.
And I'm like, man. I was like, I don't remember it being, it's not that far of a distance. But yeah, Troy said it was rough as crap yesterday morning running out.
Huh.
So, and he was in Mark's contender, I believe. So,
gotcha.
It's nuts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't need any of that rough stuff right now, that's for sure.
No. You're going to have to stay away from ocean fishing for a little bit.
I can't. They won't even let me back on the boat they said minimum of 12 weeks.
12 weeks. Yeah.
It's just going to have to let myself heal up. You know, you were talking about some crossover techniques between fresh and salt water.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of the guys use those gamame jigs in fresh water?
Not that I know
Not that
of.
they'll tell you?
No, I know some guys who've used crippled herring.
Right.
And then there's some different bass companies that make some bigger, almost like a spoon type, like jig. A little bit wider profile. I think flutters a little bit more.
Right.
But, you know, I haven't seen any of the guys using
More
like
a slow pitch type jig?
Yeah, just like a fluttering spoon, a jigging spoon is what it is.
Spoon, yeah.
So I know some guys use those, but it's a unique fish, you know, technique, and it's certain times of year when fish are schooled up in the deeper water, and it's got to be some of those lakes that are really deep, you know, 30, 40 foot deep, you know, that they're doing it. So I know, you know, one of our guys just won one of the tournaments, fishing the DT 20, so which is our crankbait that runs 20 foot deep.
20 foot deep, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the guys just won a tournament fishing that bait specifically. So, you know, there's some, you know, you don't even think about it. I don't know many lakes here in Florida that are 20 foot deep. You know.
No, it'd have to be spring fed.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the lakes I know, the deepest spot you find is like 10, 12 foot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. You know, the crankbait fishing in Florida is not really a thing in a sense.
No.
So only place I know that guys will throw crankbaits semi-regularly is fishing in the St. John's in a couple areas. So.
Well, you know, going back to the shallower crankbaits that we were talking about earlier, that the Shad Rap Shallow is a short build, dives to 3 to 4 feet. In the 06, 07, 08 size range, that centimeter range. Those baits, when we used to have a lot of deep water grass, deep water vegetation in 4 or 5 feet of water, this time of the year, those things are money. I love throwing assassins. I love throwing my soft plastics, you know, but puffers they're a real thing. They do exist. And the puffers will absolutely just destroy an entire box of plastics within a half day trip. So I mean, some casts, I mean, you'll make one cast with a lure and they bite it in half, and you got to re-rig, cast out again, bite it in half, cast out again, bite it in half. Well, when it gets bad like that, and you're fishing deeper water, switching to those shallow diving crankbaits works really well for the trout and for the ladyfish, for the jacks. And you don't have to. And actually, I've caught pompano on them too, especially like an X-Wrap size 8 in the hothead color, which is orange and yellow.
Yep.
Catch pompano on that on a pretty regular basis, especially when you're fishing down from about Port Malabar south to Wabasso. You know, that section of the Indian River, you get a lot more pompano. Down there, I find hanging around in the deeper flats down there than I do up in the northern end of the lagoon. And those baits, because they're running 3-4 feet deep, and you're fishing 4 to 5 feet of water, you're fishing just above that bottom. It's a great presentation for a warm weather, even midday type scenario when it's kind of hot, because those fish they're getting out of the shallows and they're going deeper. And it's one of those baits where it opens up a whole new type of fishing that you didn't really have before, and they're puffer proof. So,
well, I got some stuff coming. I already gave you one, but I've got some stuff coming on a different hook, and I can't talk too much about it on the air. But I've got some new prototypes coming.
Cool.
So we'll have to go play.
We'll go play with them. All righty, guys and gals, we're going to take a next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more with Rodney Sahr and myself, Jim Ross, with Catch a Memory. Don't go away. Segment of the show is brought to you by Anytime No Bite by 4 Rings Protection. And, you know, we've talked about this in the past, and we want you guys and gals to be aware that Anytime is a all-natural product that you can put on yourself and keep the bugs off. It works on a variety of different types of insects. I use it for no-see-ums, mosquitoes. I've even noticed that, in my escapades out into the woods, the deer flies don't land on you and stay on you very long. And even chiggers. When you're tromping around in the woods, chiggers are a thing that happens, and they're a nuisance. But if you're out there messing around looking for, places to set up a deer stand or a ground blind or whatever it happens to be, chiggers are real.
Well,
and ticks are real. And I've noticed that and I typically wear shorts because it's hot. I just put it all up and down my legs, and I'll find that if I miss a spot, a chigger will find it. But as long as from my sock line to my pants line or my shorts line, as long as I've got it on there, typically I'm not getting bit. So Anytime No Bite, you can find it on Amazon, and you guys and gals should try it because, like I said, it's not a harsh chemical. It's not some kind of DEET type of product. It's an all-natural alternative, and it really, really works.
Jim, I will give personal testimony to this stuff. My 9-year-old daughter, Elena, is, I don't know why, but she reacts very badly, specifically to mosquito bites.
Right.
No-see-ums a little bit.
Some people are allergic to them.
Yeah, but she reacts very badly, and they find her. Last night at the baseball fields over in Merritt Island, I love this stuff. This stuff to me is the perfect scenario, especially with kids, because it's all natural, and you're not dealing with the DEET and all that. And my girlfriend now is using it. I've gone through almost a bottle and a half of it. It was with us when we went camping up in North Georgia, and it travels. I've got one in my truck. It stays in my truck all the time. And I've got 2 or 3 things of like the deep woods off with the DEET, and that's what I go to. Yeah. It is really good stuff. It is the best I've used by far.
I like it. It has an interesting smell to it.
Better than DEET.
But it's not an insecticide type or insect spray type of a smell. I wouldn't recommend it if you're trying to actually deer hunt or hog hunt.
Yeah.
But for like...
You got to get that thermocell out.
But for turkey, it works awesome because turkeys can't smell. So you can wear it turkey hunting all spring long and not have to worry about, bugs at all. So it's just a great product. So check out the Anytime No Bite. It's by Four Rings Protection, or Terry Bradshaw's 4 Rings Protection. Marnie Edwards and his company Anytime have teamed up with Terry Bradshaw. So anyway, check it out on Amazon. You can find them. Just all you got to do is just Google Anytime No Bite, and it'll pop right up. You can get it. It's good stuff.
It's really good stuff.
Good stuff. You know what else we need to do? It's the Star Bright Cleaning Solutions segment.
Oh, man. All of our fun products.
All kinds of fun products. So one of the things that to me is just, I don't know, I just don't like having to mess with it, is cleaning, your upholstery. And
oh, yeah.
It's always, upholstery's just, I just don't like having to mess with it.
Not user friendly.
It's not. And, the Ultimate Vinyl Clean is a great way to clean up all of the blood stains and the ladyfish poop and all of the things that get on your nice, new looking vinyl. And whatever it hits, it seems to instantly stain it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm constantly having to try and keep things clean. But the product that goes right along with that is that, and I'm learning this more and more every day, is that you need a product to clean something, then you need a product that's going to protect that product. Yep. And so the Ultimate Vinyl Protector, you can put that on and use it very, very sparingly. It does not take much of that product at all. Just put a little bit on. I normally take an old sock or an old rag and just wipe it all over it. And then I actually let it sit on there and dry on there. And then I'll come back later in the day and I'll kind of rinse it a little bit or towel it off with a paper towel.
Mm-hmm.
And you get any little excess that you had on there. And what that does is it actually dries into the vinyl and it creates a better protective barrier. And by doing that, I don't have to do it, but about every 2 weeks, and we're washing the boat 4, 5, 6 times a week, every day when we get off the water. Some weeks if you're only doing 4 times a week, we'll get about 8 to 10 washing cycles before you have to do it again, and you start noticing that the protection is starting to wear off. So for me, that's an absolutely great product, that Vinyl Clean, because it's so hard to get stains out of your vinyl. And then, of course, once you clean it, you need to protect it, so get the vinyl guard on top. It's good stuff. Hey, guys and gals, 321-632-1000 is our Blakemore Real Magic Studios call-in hotline. Give us a call here. We'd love to hear how your red snapper season went. I want to say good morning to Lisa Broadus is on with us this morning. I haven't seen Lisa in a while. Good morning, Lisa. And John Durkee is watching as well. Good morning, John.
What's up, John?
Yep. And you said John and Chris had asked you to come over and do a seminar at the FSFA tournament.
Eric
FSFA
called me and
seminar.
asked me to come in and do. They wanted somebody to talk about kingfish,
right?
And someone recommended, so they called me up. So I'll be coming in on what did I say, the 25th?
Yeah, it's last Tuesday of the month.
Yep, the 25th, and do a little seminar and talk a little bit about king mackerel fishing.
Very, very cool.
So,
I'll have to make sure I show up so I can learn some stuff.
No, you're going to heckle me, aren't you? You give away all your secrets that you've told me. Yeah, you've had a much more successful kingfish, breed than I have. You've done a lot better than I have.
Well, it's not for lack of trying. Just the competition has stepped up.
There's a lot.
We had a real leg up on the competition. We really did.
Yeah.
Because between myself, Tim Imka, and Johnny, I don't think there was very few moments that when we were in that whole kingfish tournament mode for that 8 or 10 year period. There are very few moments that went by that we weren't thinking about something that had to do with tournament kingfishing.
Yeah.
How to rig, how to lay out the spread, where we wanted, this type of bait, that type of bait, whatever it happened to be in the spread, how deep, where are we going to be fishing, what are we going to be fishing around, what kind of bait pods, what kind of, that was a very, very unique team. And I think that we did as well as we did because each one of us was pushing the other to become that much better.
Yeah.
And when you have a team that stays together as long as we did, that's why I think we got the success out of it that we had.
Yeah.
We were constantly pushing the envelope, constantly trying new things. And, a lot of those, little things that we tried, those little secrets have gotten out. And so now, a lot of people are doing what we did, but back in the day, they weren't.
Yeah.
And I think that was how we had the leg up on them, is we were willing to push that envelope and try new things and sometimes surprise ourselves at how well they worked or how well they didn't work.
There's a lot more things have made it easier, I think, too, for guys to go out and do this. Like, were you able to buy live bait when you were doing it?
A little bit in the South Florida tournaments.
So now, I mean,
Pompano Beach through down. Well, yeah, about Pompano down through Miami.
Yeah.
We would buy bait sometimes, but we would always look for fresh baits if we could find them. And of course, you always brought your ribbon fish.
Yeah. There's a lot more, like, I really liked, so I fished Paul Dozer's old school kingfish tournament a couple months ago. And there were over 600 boats in this tournament.
Really?
Yep. And it was from Ponce Inlet to Fernandina Inlet, and you had to fish within 3 miles.
Now, Ponce Inlet north?
Yes.
You couldn't go south of the inlet at all?
You could barely. I mean, it was like
maybe
not
down
far.
To the Flagler Pier or something, a mile?
No, not even that.
Not even that?
Not even that. Like, just past the inlet. You could basically fish the whole inlet and be okay.
Okay.
That's about it. But
so the north and south tide line, but other than that...
That's it.
Gotcha.
And what was interesting, though, is you weren't allowed to buy bait.
Okay.
You could bring ribbon fish. You couldn't buy live bait. So you had to catch any live bait that day. You couldn't pin it up either. You could catch it that day, and then you could basically bring dead bait.
Well,
ribbonfish.
let's talk about that after the break, because that's a great.
It was unique.
That's
cool.
a great thing, because most guys now pin their baits up. So let's take our next break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that particular type of a tournament. Segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers. Don't know if you guys and gals saw the iCast presentation, but saw David, or not, who did it? Mike Dixon from Engel doing the presentation on the hard-sided boxes. And it was funny, my mom just recently had knee replacement surgery, so I've got her over at the house. We're kind of taking care of her while she's rehabbing a little bit. And she says, "You've got one of those. I've seen it." Because it's high-vis. It's high-vis orange and high-vis yellow, and I've got one of each. And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, okay." She goes, "Well, they're just introducing them." And I said, "Well, I got in on them a little bit early, be it on the pro staff." And she says, "Well, do you like it?" And I said, "Well, how many times have you seen me use it?" She goes, "Actually, I've seen every family event we've gone to for the past 4 or 5 months. I've seen you bring it." So I'm like, "Yeah, I really like them." Those little dry boxes are great. You can pack all kinds of stuff in them. Oh, yeah. And, they act as a cooler. They act as, they're waterproof. So if you need something to stay waterproof, you can use them as a dry box, or you can actually use them as a hot box. If you have an item that you've heated,
pull some meat out of the smoker and throw it in there and let it sit.
Yeah, well, or something that you've pre-cooked, that's in a like a casserole dish or something like that. You can just put it right down in there. I would normally put a towel down first, and then put the warm product in. And when you get there, it's still
good to go,
hot. Yeah, and a lot of our family adventures are back and forth to Orlando, so it's an hour drive one way. Yeah. When we get there, it's still it's still in great shape. So those little dry boxes just work for everything. And if you're looking for a great little multi-purpose type of a product, that is it. Check them out at engelcoolers.com.
Yeah, I got to take some measurements. I need to get a big box for the back of the truck, but I want to make sure if my cover will go over it. So I need to take some measurements.
You need some height dimensions.
And call them up, because I need to go get one. I'm tired of dragging around a fish bag and it leaking in back of my truck. So I want to get a kill box, basically.
Yeah. So. Get the big 240 quart model or something.
If it'll fit back there, that's what I'll get. Yeah. I had one before, but I don't know if it'll fit height wise. So I gotta see.
Gotta check it out.
Yep.
Well, let's go see what's going on up in Mosquito Lagoon. Capt Matt Lee's calling in this morning. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Capt. How's it going?
Doing good, buddy. How are you this morning?
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, buddy.
I hear you.
Like usual. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Well,
yes, sir.
What's going on up in the New Smyrna, Edgewater, and Oak Hill area this morning?
Well, we're trying for some bull reds this morning. Haven't connected. We got one bat race so far, but did some trout fishing yesterday. Did pretty good. We're just still doing the summertime deal. A lot of trout fishing, redfish mixed in there with that, and trying for a monster here this morning.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha. Now, obviously, when you're trout fishing, you're using pigfish this time of the year. But, now that you've switched gears and you're targeting those giant, those big bulls, do you switch your tactics as far as your bait goes for that, or do you still stay with the most prominent bait that's in the area, and which typically is the pigfish this time of year?
Well, we are using pigfish, but I also have some blue crabs as well. I haven't put one of those down just quite yet, but yeah, they'll still eat that one. Just got that one's on right there. I think we just got hit right there. On a pigfish, but yeah, we just go where they've been and drop the pigfish down. They eat them up pretty good.
Gotcha.
So just bigger, heavier gear than what I would use in the lagoon for sure.
Oh, that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yes, sir.
I was making mention on the Florida Insider Fishing Report TV show this week about the number of large redfish that are showing up in the Oak Hill to New Smyrna area right now. It seems like there's a pretty good number of them starting to show back up, where a couple of weeks ago it looked like they had kind of thinned out a little bit,
Yeah, I think they just got all scattered out in the ICW there. Now they're starting to why they're starting to congregate, I think it's because I've noticed a lot of especially the outgoing tide, the small blue crabs, and I think they're bunching them up, pinch points, your bridges, and different things of that sort.
Yeah,
and they're having a field day on all the mullet and all the small crabs. Tarpon have been eating them up too. So,
gotcha. Well, you got to like that when you got a shot at a bull red or a tarpon. That's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was down fishing with Captain Mike Mann the other day, and he pulls up next to me. I was having a pretty good trout bite on, and he comes in just next to me. And I moved just a little bit, and he moved over there. That jugger done hooked into. He finally got into the boat. It ended up being a 47-inch red.
Holy cow!
Pretty close to where I was sitting. So a couple of days later, I'm in there and I was trout fishing, and I'm like, yeah, my buddy caught a nice one in here the other day. I looked down. He was laying next to the boat, about 3.5 feet from the boat, just laying. Up there he is. I couldn't get him, but you know how that deal goes. But,
If you see them, they've normally seen you, right?
Oh yeah, but he didn't spook at all. He just eased on away.
Yeah. He was just coming over to say hey. He was, hey, good morning, Matt. How are you doing today?
Hey, just making sure I'm still here, bud.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
I'll eat your bait. Just throw your baits off, and we'll eat them.
Yeah. Take the hooks out of them, and we'll come eat them for you.
Yeah, we definitely don't like that sharp piercing in the mouth anymore.
Nope.
We'll just wait till you throw them off. Thanks. So,
well,
Matt, same old up here, brother. You get pretty decent trout bites been going on, and just summertime pattern.
Gotcha. How's your water clarity doing? I know the Indian River side's really starting to get bad. The brown algae starting to kind of creep back in there. Banana River's still looking fairly decent in a lot of places, though. What's the mosquito looking like right now?
You got your places where it's a little bit darker than others, but I tell you, I don't think it's as bad. The water quality is not as bad this year as it was last year and the previous years. I definitely. Obviously I can see the redfish next to the boat, so obviously you can see something.
Yeah.
In certain places are still they're still crystal clear, and then you get other places that are real dirty. So it's just kind of. But for the most part, I think the water quality I think is better this year than it has been. Thank goodness.
Yes, that is a good thing. That is a very good thing.
And I'm starting to see a little bit of grass growing here and there. Little sprouts, but it's a step in the right direction.
No, don't tell the manatees about it.
I won't. I'm keeping that a secret from them. Jokers. But how's the bite down there been?
Captain Justin, my son's been out pretty much every day this past week. He's primarily targeting the king mackerel and the sharks and the tarpon out on the beaches, doing a little bit of wreck fishing for some jacks and barracudas too. But this morning he called in and he said they got a good topwater bite going on in the Thousand Islands there in the Banana River. But he said most of the fish this morning were small. Yet he hadn't really gotten any good quality fish just yet. But he said the skidder walks were working pretty good so far.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, we've the topwater bite's been pretty good up here. First thing in the morning, shallow, and then once the sun comes up, it's dying off. A buddy of mine, I talked to him the other day. He hasn't even done pigfish. He's been doing all artificials. He said DOA cows, Z-Man paddle baits, that kind of deal, and he's just covering as many shorelines as he can, but he's been doing real good. So, there's definitely a lot of techniques out there you can do this time of year and work. Than just throwing pigfish.
Yeah, that's the great part about fishing here.
You'll get a lot of good fish, and the next day you'll get a lot of smaller fish, so you got to fish a lot more area now. Every other day because it's. They definitely fluctuate. So
gotcha.
But find the fish.
You're right about that. Yep.
Mullet.
Well, buddy, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, you got any days open in the next couple of weeks where they can get out with you?
So I got some openings coming up. They can give me a shout at 386-214-3530 or hit me up on my website and contact me through that or whatever. And hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Code Red Fishing Charters, and we'll definitely get him out there and get him on some fish.
All right, bud. Did you get that pickup on that bait, or did he just kind of come up there and sniff on it?
He just whacked it. He didn't even take it. But we'll get him.
All right, Matt. Thanks so much for the call this morning.
Thanks, Capt. Jeff. I'll talk to you later.
Take care, buddy. Hey, gang, we're going to take our last break of the morning. When we come back, we got the last 15 minutes of the show, so don't go away. We got a whole lot more catching.
You're listening to 1510 AM, WWBC, as well as 94.7 FM and 100.7 FM.
StarTron enzyme fuel treatment makes all engines run stronger, smoother, and with better fuel economy. The enzymes improve fuel quality so engines start easier even if they've not been run for several months. Do more than just stabilize. Tune your fuel. Use StarTron in your car, your boat, your lawnmower, generator, motorcycle, basically anything that runs on gas. Add it when you add gas and feel more power. Tune your fuel with StarTron.
It'll never happen to me. I'll never need help. That's what every boater thinks. But then one day, you do need help, and you have no way of getting it because you thought having an emergency locator beacon was unnecessary. You're wrong. Emergency locator beacons are effective, affordable, and they save lives. Seriously. If not for you, do it for them.
Learn more about emergency locator beacons at myfwc.com. Brought to you by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission.
Favor, don't do this. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate y'all calling in and tuning in and watching us on Facebook and listening on the WWBC app and everywhere else that you've been getting us this morning. We're going to go to the phone lines in just a second here, but we want to talk about a new sponsor of the show, Petrucci Insurance. And if you guys are looking for a really great guy who just loves to talk fishing, go fishing, Don Petrucci is a great guy. And he's the segment sponsor for this part of the show. One of the things about Don is he's looking to help you. He understands insurance costs a lot of money, and one of the really cool things is he and his team, they go out there and they find you a better deal. And a lot of times the better deal includes better coverage.
Is this home insurance?
Home,
Yep.
yeah, auto, yeah. It just, he
Awesome.
does a great job. And so hopefully we're going to get him on the air here to do a little live interview with him here
Cool.
in the next couple of weeks. But Petrucci Insurance in Rockledge and in Orlando, but he just does a great job. And so if you guys get a chance, give him a call. We're going to go to the phone lines. Chris Passos is on the line this morning. Good morning, Chris.
Hey, good morning, Jim. Good morning, Rodney. How you guys doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well.
Are you giving you giving those red snapper a break today?
Yeah, well, I only went out a couple of times. Actually, that's one of the subjects that I'd like to talk about. But first, I want to, give your listeners an update on the artificial reef for this year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, as you know, Matt and I were on your show, and we talked about what we're planning on doing this year, which is we're putting in a whole bunch of manhole boxes, the big pipes,
culvert pipes and things, yeah.
Culvert pipes, yeah, all those. Well, we've got about 320 tons of material, which is normally 4 times the size of the pyramids that we normally put out. So this is going to be a relatively large reef that's going out this year. So we've the bids are all in. The contract has already been awarded. And so this coming week, they're going to be trucking all the material to the Bale site. It's going to be Bale Brothers that it's going to be putting the new reef out.
Okay.
And so we're due to deploy it the week after next. Now, I don't have an exact date yet. It's all weather dependent.
Right.
But we're up next in terms of getting that reef deployed.
That's
so
awesome.
In 2 weeks, we'll be out there. There'll be, a huge barge out there filled with material, and they're going to be pushing that stuff over the side, and we're going to try to make a nice long line of material sticking up. Hopefully, there'll be a lot of crevices in there as opposed to just the pyramids. So I'm really excited about this year's reef, and so this is number 5 now, 5 years in a row. So that's really
awesome.
Fantastic news.
Hey, Chris, is this going to be the one that's going to be within 3 miles?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, this is the same place that we've been putting the pyramids, which is about 15 miles east of the port, in 80 feet of water.
Awesome. That is a huge producing area already.
Permitted for the next. We've been permitted for 10 years, so I think we still have another 3 or 4 years at the site.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we've taken how big is that area overall? It's square miles. You know,
It's very large.
It's got to be probably 15 square miles, 10 square miles.
At least, Jim. I think it's like 3 by 6 in terms of miles. It's a very, very large area.
So what
we do is that we're putting these reefs about a quarter mile away from the other reefs.
Yeah.
And we're doing it in a grid pattern, so that if you get out there, for example, and there's a lot of people on one of the sites, well, you just go a quarter mile and go to the other one. I mean, that's the beauty of this thing. Instead of putting them all within 100 yards of each other, and it gets kind of crazy like, during snapper season. So it gives everybody an opportunity to go fish, their own ground. You know what I mean?
Well, the great part about this, Chris, is you're taking a large area of unproductive bottom and you're building habitat for not just reef fish, but for pelagics as well. And you know as well as I do, the more fish you have in an area, the more fish tend to come to that area. So when you start off with your bait fish and your smaller fish hanging around these rock piles and these pyramids and these wrecks and these sailboats and things that have been put down in this area, that you're just enticing more predator fish to come to that area. And so it makes it easier for people to go out on the weekend and enjoy themselves catching fish, and you don't have to be a professional guide to go out and do a quality job at putting some fish in the boat. You get a place like this that the FSFOA and the CFOA and other groups have all joined together on, and you've now created a huge area that is productive, and not just in one part of the year, but all times of the year for all kinds of different species. One of the things that I appreciate, the most is that if I'm out on, let's say, one of the pyramids and I'm fishing the pyramids on the bottom, I'm surprised at how many times a king mackerel will hit the flat line or a cobia will come up and hit the flat line. And it's not a species that you're necessarily targeting with your bottom rods, but you have that float line off the back, and so there's a nice bonus catch because that structure has been put there.
Yeah, absolutely correct, Jim. Ever since we've been putting those out, obviously, as you know, there's other artificial structure out there as well. And I think a lot of people actually not go to that area to fish for kingfish certain times of the year, because there is now structure out there as opposed to just sand. And so it holds bait fish, so therefore it attracts, the predators, right?
Right.
And I can tell you, I mean, you already know the story, but I was out there with, Matt Culver.
Yes.
From Brevard County, and they were doing the dive. When they were done diving, I began casting, around the area. And this is on one of the existing pyramids, and all of a sudden, here comes this cobia. So I casted to it, and he followed the artificial lure that I had towards the boat, and then he turned away. So then I did it again and gave it a different retrieve. Ended up catching a 48-inch cobia.
Nice.
While they're out there trying to do the dive, right? So
bonus.
So it works, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, last year, I hit the pyramids during snapper season, and the beauty of it is, there was a lot of boats on just about every pyramid, so it's great that people are getting out there and utilizing the artificial structure that we're putting down. And I was really, really happy to see that.
Just being able to take a piece of barren sand and being able to create some fish habitat that people can catch fish off of. That's a fulfilling thing in itself. And you guys at the fishing clubs are doing a great job with that. Real quick before we run out of time, Chris, is there any headway that's been made on potentially some reefs inside of the 3 mile limit?
Yeah, Jim, we were going full bore on that. I mean, we haven't stopped the project, but given this, unexpected visitor called COVID-19,
right?
A lot of things have, changed, obviously, at all the clubs. I mean, we haven't been able to hold our events and raise funds. So we're sort of putting it on the back burner probably for, the foreseeable future. But that is still on our sites. I talked to Matt yesterday, to talk about, obviously this artificial reef that we're putting out. And we were talking about that. But it really comes down on funding. As you know, CFOA had to cancel their tournament. We had to cancel our tournament this year.
Right.
And both clubs rely on the tournament in terms of, funds to keep the clubs going.
Gotcha. So what kind of seed money is needed to kind of pick the ball back up and run with it on that project again?
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do, we have to survey the area. Again, the area that we're talking about is probably like a mile and a half off Cocoa Beach Pier.
Right.
And to survey the area, we're looking at like $8,000 to $10,000.
Okay.
And that's just to do the survey. Then you got to do the application process with the state folks and the federal folks. And there's no guarantee that you'll be given a permit. So the issue comes down to is that you may lay out like $10,000. Forget about the time that it takes and effort. We all volunteer, so that's not an issue.
Right.
So the issue is that you could lay out $10,000 and it may get denied, right? So obviously the folks at both clubs have to look at that as they lay out the funds to do it.
Right. Well, what I was thinking about was some kind of a GoFundMe or some kind of a other type of a fundraiser that not necessarily just the established fishing clubs could be a part of, but that just any angler in general could be a part of and help donate to.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps maybe the three of us can go have some coffee together and talk about how we get that going. I would love to see that go.
I don't think there's a Central Florida angler out there that wouldn't throw in $25 or $50 to help make that a reality. I think especially for guys that run smaller boats and maybe don't want to get out to that 15-mile area. They're too weather conscious or whatever about trying to get that far in the size vessel that they have. This will give them an inside location where they can get snappers and flounders and kingfish and various other things.
If you want an example, just go up out of Ponce.
Yeah, Ponce Inlet's inshore
go north or go
reefs
south.
They're
and
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim, nobody has to sell me that idea. That idea. You know that. I'm a full supporter of that. I would love to see people launch a kayak at Cocoa Beach and paddle out there to go fishing. That would be fantastic.
That would be.
See.
Well, buddy, we are out of time. We appreciate you calling in this morning, though, and let's put together a date and sit down and see if we can maybe come up with an idea about coming up with a way to fund something like that, because I know there's a lot of people out there that would jump on board, eagerly jump on board with that.
That sounds fantastic. And I want to leave you with one more thought. We've already been funded for 2021.
Right.
So we already got a reef going out in a couple of weeks, and we've been funded for next year as well. So that's fantastic news. That's number 6 in a row. So
thank you, sir.
Really good work.
Great job, Chris.
All right,
guys,
buddy. You have a great day.
You take care. Bye now. Hey, gang, we appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully we exposed you to some new products, some new techniques, entertained you, got to talk about a potential new reef process, got some live call-ins from the water, all kinds of fun stuff on Catch a Memory Outdoors this morning.